Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review and reaction to the Blacklist Season 10, Episode 8, The Troll Farmer, Part 2. Is the real Raymond Reddington still alive? And is it this Raymond Reddington? Okay.
All right, you just pulled it out right away. Here we are. There is a lot of discussion on, is this the real Raymond Reddington? This is the final season.
Yeah.
There were some clues going on in here. We're going to talk about Belka the goat. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this episode. I know, like, on the surface, it may seem like not a lot was revealed, but I think there was some stuff revealed.
This is my favorite episode of the season, like, and honestly, it's not even that close. It's like even some of the Blacklister stuff felt like reasonably compelling. I think we got some really good Reddington stuff, of course, but okay, wait, go ahead, hit that subscribe button because things are going to get crazy in this video. We want you to buckle up, put on your hard hat, tinfoil hat, all the hats, do whatever you need to do to prepare yourselves. This is only the beginning of what's going to be coming up here.
Yeah, get ready. We're opening the shed to see what's inside here, and it's Belka, which is, in Russian.
Yep.
That means squirrel. This is a Russian name. Very interesting. Let's talk about that. So Reddington tells this story to Phil. He's having some issues with one of his guys who's been with him for 17 years. He's like, you're not paying me. You're rejecting my delivery of steel. Do you know how difficult it is to get steel right now? It's very difficult. And you're getting it at cost. Like, what is going on? Whatever WUJING has been doing, telling everybody, he's telling everybody, and it is getting to everyone, including some of Reddington's longtime people that he's been working with. Who's like, I hear rumors. WUJING hasn't come to Phil to be like, hey, guess what? He just is starting to hear it. Like, is Reddington really, whatever his plan is, he really able to put this genie back in the bottle? Like, it is getting everywhere. And he tells him this story that every summer he goes to see his grandmother who has this goat named Belka, which, as I said, means squirrel in Russian. Is this a situation where he's going to visit his grandmother? Is she living in America, but she was living in Russia? I mean, I've got family that lives all over the world. I have family in Antigua, lots of aunties and uncles and cousins. I have lots of uncles and cousins living in Guyana. I mean, like, could he just be going to Russia in the summer to see his grandma?
It's possible. I think that there's another fascinating wrinkle to that potential idea. Okay, let's play all this out because we're gonna play a lot of things out in this video, and I understand just on the surface that it seems like the real Raymond Reddington is kaput, gone. The evidence, the bones, and the chalo, like all that stuff. I get it. I understand it. It's not like I'm just sitting here being like, no, but
listen, some weird things have happened on this show. Let's not all pretend like we haven't seen some very weird, unexplained things on this show.
The robots? No, okay, all right.
The robots.
Oh, no, the Reddington, let's say this is the real Reddington. He has a grandmother who's out in Russia. He goes there for the summers. Could this be a reasonable explanation, then, as to how he befriends Ilya? Because that has also been a very long time question of, like, okay, Ilya and Reddington have known each other the vast majority of their lives. How is that possible? If the real Raymond Reddington is American and Ilya is Russian, that's all of a sudden, this grandmother and Belka the goat seem to have, like, this heightened sense of importance. And now we get to the shed.
Let's get to the shed.
Okay.
So here's the story that he has told, that his grandmother was like, you can go anywhere you want. Everything is A-okay, but stay away from this shed. And of course, as soon as someone's like, oh, don't go to the shed, you're like, oh man, well, there's got to be something either really good or really bad going on in that shed. Like, what's in the shed? He said it was in his dreams. It was in his nightmares. Belka the goat goes missing in the shed, opens the shed. What's in the shed? Hey. There's nothing in the shed. It's just a place to store the hay, and, Belka's in there probably having a good time, having a meal.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. I mean, we all love a
Sounds like my life. I've got a bunny, and she eats hay. My whole life is covered in hay.
This is not a lie. This is I've seen hay in shocking places. But the thing at this is mostly that this could all be seen as a little bit of a metaphor. I mean, we all love Spader's speeches, like that's abundantly clear, and maybe they gave multiple minutes to this Belka shed story just because we love a speech, but I think there's something a little bit more important here, where I think this can be viewed as how Reddington ultimately views his own identity in a way where you spend all this time obsessing and thinking of it, trying to get some sort of answer, and then once you finally open the shed, it is the obvious answer that has been there the entire time. And the obvious answer here is like, you're Raymond Reddington. I am who I am. Popeye the Sailor Man. It's like that. Those are two really big, really obvious clues that despite all of the evidence that Reddington, the real one, is gone, is dead, like all this other stuff, that it's actually still him. It's either that or this is just it doesn't matter who I am. I'm not interesting no matter what, which would just be like, okay, well then you're like somebody's friend or sibling or somebody who has like no importance of your own.
Yeah, I think this, when it comes to his monologues and her stories, there is typically some sort of tie to something about himself. He's never going to really just straight come out and say the truth about something. It's going to be wrapped up in some sort of story that has something to do with himself. And I know we've spent 7 minutes here on this goat story, but I really do think that it is connected to who he is, that it's like, oh, you guys are, making these videos about me, talking about who am I? Am I really Katarina? Am I really Reddington? Am I really his brother, sibling? Who am I? Open the shed, and who is it? It's exactly what you would think it is. It's filled with hay to feed the goat. This makes the most sense. It's Reddington.
Okay, you know what? This is...
You love it's me a whole video of you just bleeding over there.
Listen, I could do another 20 minutes on the goat story. Like, we'll move
the
on.
one-eyed goat.
Listen, as a one-eyed person, for those who don't know, I can't see out of my right eye. Me and Belka the goat, we have a real sympathy bond here. We understand each other. Also, the idea of just like being cooped up somewhere and eating just appeals a lot to me at this given moment in time. But alas, I suppose we should move forward.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on with Sia, because it seems like she's got a couple storylines going on here. There was that whole talk with Dembe, which gave a lot of information as well, where Dembe was kind of like, yeah, it's hard not working with Reddington anymore, but it's also, I enjoy what I'm doing. And yeah, I have this relationship where there's like this sort of honest mistrust with each other where, we trust each other even though we know certain things are being left out as a way to protect each other from certain things. And it's a relationship that works really well. And I think he's explaining that kind of to Sia so that she kind of understands that the task force works like that as well. I mean, we kind of saw at the end too with Cooper and Reddington being like, you left out this. Well, you left out this. Okay, so they're in that kind of relationship as well, where they'll tell enough, but not everything sort of thing. So I think Sia's really kind of seeing that if she's going to be part of this task force, it's kind of how it has to work out. But then Dembe sort of drops this really important piece of information. It's like, listen, when your mom came on, Reddington did his research. He always does. And I don't know what it is that he found out, what secret about your mom, but he would know whatever it is. He hasn't told me. I don't think he's told anyone. I think he just knows what it is. So if there's some sort of secret you're looking about your mom, he is the person who knows it.
This is where things can get a little bit interesting, because is there something about Mira that we don't know as viewers and only Reddington knows? And I think that sort of accelerates Sia's story in an interesting way, because what I don't want is for later this season, more information about, the way in which Mira gets killed, all that stuff comes out, and then all of a sudden Sia is just like, I want revenge on you, Reddington. How dare you do this to my mother, when it's just like you knew what you were getting into from the start. Your mom is gone. You kind of have like at least the circumstances around it already. I don't need some sort of like emotional extreme with that. But if there is some sort of like big shocking secret about Mira that's buried and it eventually comes out, I mean, it is a little bit revisionist history on Mira, who has just been like buried for years, but at least it could be compelling.
Okay, we also need to talk about what's going on with Herbie. Is he not married like he is, and he's got this little baby? He's calling Sia a million times a day. Like, I understand he wants to be part of the task force, he's trying to find a way in, but having like comments from wrestler to kind of be like, oh, Herbie's calling you 100 times a day, eh? It's just like, he's married with a little baby. If that is where they're going, and it feels like they may have been circling that a little bit, it kind of sucks to do that Herbie character so dirty, like right out of the gate, that he's like, he's got a little baby, his woman's out working, he's at home, and then he's what? Calling another woman 100 times a day? Even if it's for the idea that he wants to be part of the task force, that needs to be kind of pushed more as the narrative than other people on the task force being like, hey, this guy's interested in you. Okay, he is married. Stop this.
It's really weird. It almost makes me wonder if the Blacklist themselves are doing like some last minute revisionist history of their own where they're going to pretend like this life thing never was mentioned, never happened. It's sort of like how they just completely forgot about, you know, the age that Liz was in the fire and just like changed it later. I don't know what exactly they're doing. I don't think we need a will they or won't they story for Herbie and Sia.
I mean, maybe we're getting a story coming up where it's like the wife just never comes home at some point and calls up and is like, it's over. Like, I don't know, but I would like sooner rather than later for them to like put some sort of like a real sort of, they're done with trying to like hook these two up or have a romance, or like they're gonna give us something where Herbie's relationship is actually over.
Yeah, because it's just sort of like, if they can handle this, I think the rest of Herbie as a character is pretty interesting and rather fun. Like Reddington going over, putting like the hat on the baby's head. It's just like one of a couple real, I don't know.
I really liked the pink hat, but not for that baby. Like, we had that whole adorable moment with him cooking with Agnes and putting the mayonnaise in, which all of us know is a trick, but she doesn't know that yet, but now she does know. That hat should have been put on Agnes. I said it. I'm not trying to like be really, you know, super nitpicky and critical of these moments, but like how amazing and like, ow, would that have been to have that moment that Pinky puts a pink hat on Agnes's head. I'm like, you know, yeah, that baby is cute, but like, who's that baby to Agnes?
Okay.
Like, come on. Agnes needs to have that hat.
Okay.
It's perfect for her cooking vlogs.
That part of it is
Pinky
very...
hat from Pinky and Agnes.
Oh, okay.
Why?
See,
Why? You guys missed that mark.
I do love that she's continuing to call him Pinky. Like, that meant a lot to me emotionally. The randomness that, like, you know, Cooper, who is like an FBI agent boss, is letting his you know, daughter here do like vlogs online, knowing how like crazy the internet can be. Like, that's a little bit like, I don't know, but I'll say this is probably the most controversial take I have in this entire video.
Okay.
I'm out on the mayonnaise. I am just like with me and Agnes.
I know you are, but I'll just say, you've eaten cakes that have had mayonnaise in it before.
Okay, I'm moving on past that. No, it's like, I've heard sour cream too. It's just all these. I think I'm an anti-mayonnaise person in general. Don't put mayonnaise on a burger. Like, oh, what is that? Like, why would you do? No. Okay, see. Okay, I'm gonna stop this before everybody just stops watching the video, because I'm
sure there's lots of people that agree with you. I am not one of them. I am a mayonnaise on my burger person. Also mayonnaise in your birthday cakes.
Okay, are you mayonnaise or team no mayonnaise? Let us know in the comments. But okay, yeah, the Agnes stuff I thought was really, really fun, really adorable. Great to have a lot of that in here. Now, another big Reddington question. what exactly is Reddington planning? Because here are sort of the clues that have kind of been laid out here. We talked about Phil and the
Mhm.
conversation that's there. Phil is a builder, and ultimately there's something going on with the two of them that's a part of this greater project. Reddington is working with Rogelio to track people
Mhm.
down. Like there's something going on there that's going to be important. Like who is Reddington potentially going to track down at the end of all of this? Is he trying to find Ilya? Is he trying to find somebody? It's hard to really know. I mean, all I know is just in thinking about trackers, it just makes me miss Glenn. But ultimately, we know he has a plan that in 72 hours, this is all going to be taken care of. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, when it's talking about, he's still talking about, like, oh, we're still in this building construction phase. 72 hours is not a lot of time to be really building anything that has to do with like a building, like how has it been enough time? And this is like right at the end of something. Like, I don't know. I still feel that your theory about this building being the new post office is correct. I think that it's sort of a backup plan if whatever this 72-hour plan doesn't work out, because he did say to Cooper, like, hey, listen, it's all gonna be wrapped up in 72 hours. The task force is going to be remain secret. Everything is still going to be fine. Don't worry about it. But I think Reddington always thinks ahead. That's like, okay, well, just in case this doesn't work out, I have another post office. I'll move everybody over there. Like, he's always got multiple plans on the go.
Okay, here's a fun idea. Like let's say that the theory about the post office being moved is real, and ultimately when Reddington realizes that a big attack is coming on the actual post office, he moves everybody over there. And then when WUJING shows up, it is actually just a real post office and there's just like, letters being shipped around or something else. But they use that as a ruse in order to get the jump on him, and then they're sort of able to sneak attack him. Like it's a strategy, but I think at the end of the day, like the biggest question I kind of have coming out of all this, it's like, even if you were to eradicate or lock away WuJing and every single person who's working for him at this point, like, how does that take care of the problem? Like, you actually have to do something to make WuJing seem not credible for nobody to actually believe what you're throwing out there.
Yeah, not only that, that's one of the bigger problems that Reddington's running into is he needs to make him not credible so that some people will be like, "Oh, okay, he was just whatever lying and that's fine." But some people, I mean, we saw this in this episode with Phil, who hasn't even spoken to Wu Jing, who's just
Yeah.
heard the rumors where he was like, "Oh, I hear you're working with the FBI." And of course, Reddington's giving the same story. Of course, yeah, I got people in my pocket all over the place. What good criminal doesn't? And Phil's like, no, no, Reddington, that's not what I've heard. I have heard that this is something deeper, that you are actually taking, even associates of mine are getting locked away because of what you're doing, of this sort of, secret task force or whatever. I think the damage is done. Like, Wu Jing has you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's done for a lot of people, and that's really where, going into the second half of the season, if the Wu Jing story is wrapped up, how does he do damage control on the people that already are like, I don't believe you, Reddington?
It's interesting because he seems so not worried about this, and I know that Reddington in general tries to come across as unbothered, but he really just seems like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be
Yeah, he's
okay.
leaving the door unlocked. Cooper's just walking in,
Yeah,
being like, "Is this safe?"
he's just like calling Wujing basically just like a pest, like a gnat, something that be taken control of really easily. The only other thing that's really, we've gone almost 20 minutes now without even mentioning the troll farmer, the title character of this episode. It's like he's still not the character that obviously pops off the screen the most in any sort of shape or form. But I will say I at least found some of this reasonably interesting compared to some other blacklisters that, if we're going to spend some time with a character like this, I like the idea of somebody who's just creating these just like mass social media diversions, because it's very topical in a lot of ways, and this is the Blacklist actually kind of having their finger on the pulse a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically the freelancer online, you know?
Yeah.
He's creating a big diversion to be able to do something else in the middle of it. So that's why I thought a really cool moment to see the freelancer and the troll farmer at the park together, where it's like, this guy's doing this big diversions in real life, this guy's doing these big diversions online, to have them sort of have that moment before Sia's ex-partner has like taken him off and is working with Reddington. It was, there were so many reveals going on in this episode. This was a really good episode.
Yeah, like we've got interesting questions on what's going to happen to the freelancer. Obviously, who is Reddington? What is Reddington's endgame plan? I really hope there's some big answers coming on these next few episodes. So stay tuned, but hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss anything along the way. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you here next time.